Kimmy and Brenda. Hi, everyone. Read AI Notes has joined us again. We'll get that person out of there. Welcome in, everyone. We're going to let everyone in since it is 2:00 on the Eastern Time Zone, and it's Wednesday. So it's another time to get together for a session of Life Amplified. We'll just start letting folks into the Zoom room here, and we always know we have folks joining us later, which is totally fine. So we'll let some folks in. Hi, Lincoln. Hi, everybody. All right. So we'll get started with me, and then we'll greet everyone who's here today, and then we're going to get started with our topic. So hi, everyone who's joined us live on Zoom and on TikTok. Hi, TikTok friends. TikTok, if you want to see what's going on with this green screen, you got to get onto the Zoom screen. Go to our page and look for the Zoom code. It's completely free to join. What do y'all think of our beachy background? We brought our green screen back again to try to set the tone for the theme for today, which is traveling and travel confidence for folks with limb loss and limb difference. It is Wednesday, 2:00 Eastern Time Zone, and that means it is time to get together for another session of Life Amplified. I'm Jennifer. I'm the Executive Director for Amputee Aid. Amputee Aid is the host for Life Amplified, which is our weekly webinar to get together, share information, learn from each other, learn from guest speakers when we have them like we do today, educate, celebrate, and support both those in the limb loss and limb difference community and their allies like me and like Emily. Hi, Emily. How are you today?
Hi, social worker, Amputee Aid.
And we always get together on Wednesdays on Zoom and TikTok Live, as well as on a recording through YouTube. Hi, YouTube friends watching our recording, to celebrate those in the limb loss and limb difference community. So let's set the stage for what we're going to discuss today. All right. We are continuing our theme for April, which is Limb Loss, Limb Difference Awareness Month. Now, some of you might have seen, if you are on our mailing list for Fridays, as well as our emailing list for Mondays, that we had a different speaker lined up for today. And we promise we will bring that content back. And that content is on advocacy for our friends with upper extremity amputations. We had a change of plans with our speaker, unfortunately, so we pivoted and we reached out to the revered and notoriously amazing Kim Ousley, who always saves us. And she did immediately, I think within 5 minutes of me saying, I'm so sorry to ask this question, but we had a cancellation. Can you help us? And she agreed to come and continue her conversation about traveling, highlighting an article that she had published for Amplitude Magazine. If you're not following Kim, she's now a writer for Amplitude Magazine, and she has her own blog as well, Out on a Limb. And she's going to share more information, and she is our guest speaker for today. Thank you, Kim, for saving us. But as those of you know who have joined us regularly, there are some things we like to talk about when we start Life Amplified. First is we always have folks kind of coming in throughout the session. Totally fine. So for those of you joining us live, as you are joining us, put in the comments where you're from and how the weather is today. For you, we'd like to know, is getting warm here in Pittsburgh. We are T-minus 7 days for the official NFL draft, but it's unofficial already. That means, by the way, P.S. and by the way, next week we are having a session of Life Amplified, but we come into you from our households, okay? So my co-host will be my dog, and Emily will be in another screen. But we are continuing. And in fact, next Wednesday, as much as we love having Kim here today, next Wednesday we have Experts Roundtable, okay? We have Michael from Prosthetics Plus. We have Jay Martin from Slingshot Bionics. And we have Todd, Paralympian Todd, from Amputee Walking School. And so we have 3 experts on deck, and we are going to be talking all things related to Limb Loss and Limb Difference Awareness Month, from the prosthetic side of things, from the design side of things, and from the walking and rehabilitative side of things. So big one, not to miss. Today, we are talking all things travel, and we have some giveaways, which we're going to get to in a moment. But as always, and hi everyone, nice outside of Philly. Ooh, hi Nicole, nice to meet you. Thank you for joining us. 81 upstate New York, dang. Okay, we're not quite that warm here, but we're going in that direction. And hi Tina, hi Dean, hi everyone. And also, by the way, happy Wear Orange Wednesday. We've got our orange here. It's tiny, but it is here. We had a very important meeting, so I had to wear my power suit and my power red today to try to get some funding for Amputee Aid.
Yes.
Otherwise, I'd be in orange also. But greetings to all of you. Emily, Tell us a little bit more about the policies and the kinds of things to expect from our webinars.
Yes, so this is a safe space. So just please be mindful and respectful of other people's comments, and just treat everyone how you would like to be treated. And then if you have anything super kind of personal, or if you have an issue or something kind of going on, this might not be the forum to do that, but you can always either go to our website and hit the Get Help blue button in the corner, or you could email Jennifer and us personally, and we'd be happy to reach out to you and discuss some more personal things.
Yeah, great point. We are recording on right now, and we are posting this recording to YouTube on Friday. So hi to all of our YouTube friends watching this recording. Put in the chat on YouTube where you're coming to us from and how the weather is on the day you're watching this, because we want to be YouTube famous, okay? If you're not following us on YouTube, please go do. Amputee Aid is our handle. You'll see our orange and blue logo. We want to be YouTube famous someday. TikTok is doing pretty well. Hi, TikTok friends. We are recording, though. So for TikTok, we are not capturing what you're saying. For our Zoom friends live, we do not capture your faces or your pretty graphics if you have your camera turned off, but we do capture your voices. All right. So if you're the kind of person who's like, oh, I don't really want my voice on the internet, that's okay. Just put in the chat what your question or comment is, and Emily and I in front of the screen and Lucho behind the screen will do our best to read it. But we love it when you engage. So please come off of mute. You don't have to do the hand raising emoji or a different kind of emoji. You can just interrupt. We are an interruption, agency. We're interruption friendly, I guess is the nicer way of saying it. I say I have a bad habit of interrupting people, or a good habit, depending on how you look at it. So you are always welcome to engage with us, okay? And whether you've been here a long time, like our friends from Canada, hi, Deb, or you're new, like Nicole, nice to meet you. Please get in contact with us. We got a ton of resources and services that we can offer. We can chat, connect you to places. We do a lot of things here in Amputee Aid, including financial support for folks who need that kind of assistance. Every Wednesday, we like to get together, keep it kind of friendly and loose, and have some fun with you all, okay? Speaking of fun, in addition to being blessed by having Kim come here and continue her conversation about travel, thus the background behind us, we're on a beachy scene, we're manifesting some fun today. We like to do giveaways, and we thought because we had a change of plans for our speaker today, we would entice you all to come, and then we would reward you for coming by doing 2 giveaways. All right, now here's the rule with the giveaways. You've got to be live on Zoom. So TikTok friends, hop on over to the Zoom screen. The code is on our page. Zoom friends, you've got to be here until 3 o'clock Eastern time. So you've got to sit with us for the next 52-ish minutes to qualify for our drawing. Lucho behind the screen is capturing all of your names. So there's nothing you have to do. You don't have to put anything in the comments, but you just got to be here with us live until 3 o'clock Eastern time. Emily, what are the 2 things we're giving away today?
So we've got this nice beach bag here, and it comes with a shirt and some koozies.
And so not only a beach bag, like this is a very nice
cooler. It's a cooler. Yeah.
Okay. And this is from our friends at Iron City Brewery here in Pittsburgh. So we will mail this to somebody so you can have your own beach scene either on the beach or at home with your koozies and your shirt and your really nice insulated, high quality bag. Okay.
Yeah. And then the other thing is pizza, mail order pizza.
Mail order pizza. We got some more Chicago pizza. Okay. Mail order, whether you're in Chicago, you're up in Alaska or Canada, I think that they might even send it to you. Otherwise, send it to us and we'll send it to you. We're doing pizza, and we're doing this beautiful cooler kind of summary thing today, but you got to be here on Zoom until the end. All right. All right. So that being said, we are talking travel made easy, travel confidence, all things travel related with Kim Ousley, who recently wrote an article and had it published on Amplitude Magazine. Check out Amplitude Magazine if you want to read her full article. Lots of you, the last time we had a conversation similar to this, had tips and tricks. And we know that the folks who watch our recordings are often new to the lifestyle of limb loss and limb difference, and they would benefit from hearing all of your tips and tricks. So whether you have a horror story, an idea, something that you want to share, or something you read about, heard about, please, everyone engage so that we can educate the folks who watch our recordings and maybe our new folks who are joining us live on Zoom and TikTok. So, Emily, tell us a little bit more about Kim before we turn it over to Kim.
So Miss Kim, she's a writer, as we said, featured in Amplitude magazine, and she shares thoughtful and powerful perspectives on life with limb difference. So she's written topics such as Medicaid and disability healthcare access, adaptive travel and independence, daily life as an amputee, and peer support experiences. So she brings both lived experience as an amputee and a strong storytelling voice to her work. She helps broaden understanding around disability, identity, resilience. Through her writing and advocacy, she challenges assumptions and highlights the everyday realities and strengths within the limb loss community.
Yes.
Yay, Kim.
Blogger for Out on the Limb, massive resource. She's got all kinds of resources. If you don't know something, ask Kim and she'll find it for you. And a crafter, by the way. Okay, so we could continue singing your praises, but that would take 4 hours, and we want to make sure we give you some time to talk about why you're here today. So let's start, okay? And I would love to start first with what inspired you to write your most recent of many, but your most recent article about traveling that was published on Amplitude magazine. What inspired you for that content?
I noticed an uptake in questions and a lot more amputees on many of the groups that I'm on asking about travel because they don't want to sit at home. They want to join in with their families or just go by themselves and be able to do it, but they're nervous and they're scared. They don't know what to ask. They don't know what to think about, what they need to think about before they go. So I don't have a problem. I've not traveled internationally yet, but I've done a little bit of airport flying, driving. I wanted to be an accessible travel writer at some point. And, at some point that'll happen again, but, just, visit places and talk about accessibility. Is this place really accessible or not? Is this place really good at inclusion? Those kinds of things. So I think everyone has a right to be included, not just, oh, there they are over there in the corner. We want everyone to be included, and we want you to not be fearful of going out and traveling and trying new things.
Yeah, you mentioned, you use a key word there from my perspective as an advocate, which is fearful. And I think I'm going to liken it to Chihuahua Carl, who has made his return. Some of you might remember this. If you haven't, go onto YouTube and you'll see our little, he's a little bit hard to see with the blue waves here, but when our founder Carl is not here, sometimes I bring out the little Chihuahua, and I've named him Chihuahua Carl. At Halloween, he had a Halloween costume on. So we'll put Chihuahua Carl there. One thing I think about is fear is, for folks who maybe haven't traveled in a while, they think of the fear gets to them. It's like the giant big dog, right? But when you actually do the thing, you try and find out it's just a little tiny dog with maybe a big bark, right? So Kim, on that point, what is your opinion and from your perspective, but also being connected to other groups and talking with other folks with limb loss and limb difference, what do you think drives the fear folks might have about not wanting to travel? Where does that come from?
Well, I know for me personally, I wanted to go visit my friend in Florida for the first time after becoming an amputee, but I was scared of, I felt vulnerable. I felt like maybe they would think I don't have a brain and they're going to try to talk me into something that is illegal or stuff something in my prosthetic leg, or maybe they'll do something to harm me in some way. But you have to walk confidently, even if you don't feel that on the inside. You got to smile and look like you know what you're doing when you're walking through the airport. But for me, it was just feeling vulnerable because I couldn't just take off and run from something or a situation. I was worried that they would, they've taken me in wheelchairs through the airport, and sometimes they try to take me and another person in a wheelchair, and I'm like, nope, we're not doing that again. But, that's scary when they're trying to do their job, but not in a safe manner. I want to feel safe. So safety and vulnerability are the top two that I think are the issue for traveling.
Yeah, great point. And I would love to see in the chat, for those of you attending with us live, what are the reasons that you maybe didn't go traveling? Maybe early on, or maybe even now. What are some of those reasons? And hi, Salt Lake City. Thank you. We greet you too. Thank you for putting that in the chat. I would love to know from your perspective. I think in talking with our founder, another thing, similar to what you referenced, Kim, is the feeling of being judged. Like someone's going to look at you like, you know, do you quote, do you really need assistance if you have a prosthetic leg on? Or the stares of people wondering, like, can you go through the metal detector with your prosthetic arm? Or are you going to, quote, hold up the line by getting a pat down or whatever? Like that feeling of being judged. I wonder if that's maybe part of the deterrent as well.
Definitely. I didn't know whether I would be required to take my leg off or not. I was like, I don't want to feel helpless.
Yeah.
At the same time, you feel like everybody behind you is like, oh, geez, now we got to wait on this chick who's got to go through the whole pat down and the whole system. I was like, you know what? You get to a point where you have to say, this is for everybody's safety, you know? But yes, that is the judgment and being judged. Because people will say things like in the article, the lady I interviewed was like, some lady thought, oh, do you really need to be in that wheelchair? And she's like, yes, I really need to be in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
You know?
And I love some of the comments that we're getting here, the feeling of being like the overwhelming feeling. So it's like, it's too hard. I don't even want to try it. Or thank you, Lincoln, for sharing this travel. You know, people either think you're helpless or that you can't do it. Yeah. Right. Based just on an initial judgment based on how you look without knowing anything about you or what your capabilities actually are. Mm-hmm. Another thing, I actually experienced this over the weekend traveling for a volunteer event, is I had noticed someone who had a mobility aid, and the airport staff assisting them was talking loudly to them as if their physical disability meant they couldn't hear. And I think that happens a lot. You're like, I'm not hard of hearing, right? Or you got kind of like this, you're treated like a child in some ways, some of the time when you're getting assistance that you deserve, right, Kim?
Yes, I swear I need to wear a shirt that says, I lost my leg, not my brain.
Yeah.
Or my ability to think or whatever, because people they see your leg and for whatever reason, they start talking to you like you're mentally challenged. And I was like, well, even if I was mentally challenged, that I wouldn't talk to somebody like that. I wouldn't talk down to them or act like they didn't know anything. I would ask the question in a normal way first to see, you know.
Yeah, great point. I had to keep my advocate self in check because I was about to go over there and tell off the airport person, but I don't want to be the person who's arrested in the Texas airport, and then we don't have bail money, right, Emily? I didn't say anything, but it was hard to not, you know. And thank you, Lincoln, for sharing that. Sometimes your mobility aids, they become more of a burden, and you have to make a judgment call. What am I bringing? What am I not bringing? Kim, let's talk about that next. What are some suggestions that you have, both based on your article, but also as someone who does travel? What are some suggestions you have for folks to build up their confidence to get over the intimidation and to actually do the thing, do the travel? What suggestions do you have?
Well, I say run some trial runs. Even if you're not flying, go to the airport and walk around with a friend and find out, you know, where everything's at. So when you do actually get ready to fly, you have all the questions answered. You have all your notes down. You feel a little bit better about what you're getting ready to do. And if you're driving, you want to do just a day trip instead of, oh, we're going to be in the car for a week or 3 days, because you don't know what's going to happen. Your leg could swell. You could walk more than you used to and get blisters and rub spots and hot spots, or maybe your equipment breaks down. You always want to make sure you find out, what do I need? Talk to your prosthetist. You know, if you think I need this for traveling, like screwdrivers, wrenches, whatever it takes to fix your leg yourself, show me how to do it in case that happens and I'm on the road somewhere and I'm not near where I can go see you, that kind of thing. But I just started out with a 3-day trip to the Great Smoky Mountains. I live in Indiana, so my friend and we drove down there, but she was a nurse, so she knew. I felt comfortable with her. But she knew that I needed to take breaks, check my leg, check for swelling, all those things, and stretch, because you still have to stretch. You can get some cramps, not getting out of the car enough times to. And I know there's people that drive and you're stuck over there going, can we stop now? Because they just want to get there.
Yes.
So they need to understand that you do need to get out and stretch. You do need to, check your your stump or your prosthetics or whatever. So, but I
Mhm.
always like call ahead. I would call ahead to the airport or the museum or wherever you plan to go and say, do you have wheelchairs for people visiting? What's your
Mhm.
accessibility? That's what I did when I started doing travel writing. I would call ahead. And I've learned to call ahead with the airport because that picture that you see on their website may
Yeah.
not be the room you're staying in. And
Yes.
and you need to know, is it a zero entrance shower? Is there a fold down seat? Or do you have a seat that I can use, but it needs to be this kind of seat? Because they have
Mhm.
those storage most of the time in the nicer hotels. Now, if you're going to the Holiday Inn or something like that, you may have to figure out a different way. Now, I use the Dry Pro prosthetic sleeve. The company that made the Dry Pro sleeve sold it, and we're waiting to find out if the new people are going to continue with the product. But there's another company doing the same thing, making it a different color, but making it. If you go to Amazon and you put in Dry Pro prosthetic sleeve or cast sleeve, they both do this exact same thing. But what it is, it has a little ball on it, and I put it on there like a beach ball. I put it on there, and I just squeeze all the air out. It vacuum packs onto my leg. I can stand up to shower. I can get in the pool with both legs. I can do all that kind of stuff. And eBay still has a lot of them never out of their package for like $20, $30. So it's worth it because they're usually around $80, in the
Yeah.
past.
I love
But
that. If we could pause there for a moment, because I want to go to that in a minute here. The tools and things that you can take with you. But I want to kind of catch up the folks who have just joined us.
yeah.
Totally normal. We always get folks sneaking in a lunch break or coming to us from another group. Hello, welcome to our travel discussion. We had a change of plans. We will get back to upper limb extremities at some point. For content, but Kim has graced us with an opportunity to talk more about her article in all things travel confidence related for Limb Loss, Limb Difference Awareness Month to celebrate and encourage you all living with limb loss or limb difference to take the steps and go travel. Before we talk about kind of tools and things like the sleeve that you mentioned, what I'm hearing you say, Kim, and I love this idea actually. Actually, I love all your ideas, but I want to highlight this one, which is take a short trip first. Do a test run, a shorter trip. And I'm chuckling a little bit. I hope you're okay if I point this out. I noticed you have a Buc-ee's and behind you. Buc-ee's is like my favorite place to stop on a road trip. And maybe that's what you can do before you take a long trip. Go to your favorite destination and maybe a further one away and see how do you do if you're driving, how do you do in a vehicle? But also, Kim, I think this is worth highlighting from your, and put in the chat where your day trip would be. I want to know that. It can't all be Buc-ee's. Maybe everybody likes Buc-ee's like me. I got all the Buc-ee's things at home, that magnet, the shirt, the mug, all of it. But I also hear, and I like this, I think we should highlight this, is structure in breaks for your limb, right? So if you're, and maybe even if you're an A-type person, put them in your calendar. Every 2 hours, I'm going to get a little reminder on my calendar to stop, stretch, massage, whatever it needs to be. If you're able to do that, maybe it's a little bit different if you're in a plane, to really intentionally build in time to check in with your body. Is that what you're saying, Kim?
Yes, and drink tons of water because you will dehydrate if you drink more pop than you do water or coffee than you do water. And there are flavorings you can get for water. Not everybody likes them. Some of them I don't even like, but I force myself to sip on it the whole time I'm in the vehicle or in the airplane or whatever, because your limb could swell from dehydration, but also from too much salt from something you ate the night before or in the morning or whatever. So you want to hydrate. That's something that's very important.
Yeah, great points. And then the third thing I want to draw out from what you've said so far, Kim, is don't be afraid to call ahead. In fact, you should and must call ahead. If it's the airport, the hotel, whatever venue, ask the questions. Don't rely on the pretty glossy pictures on Expedia or whatever other website. Right, Kim?
Yes, and I've even had them go into the room they're going to assign me to and say, would you please email me a picture of what it looks like?
Yes.
In the shower, are the doorways wide enough? Is the bed high enough or low enough? Those kinds of things. You can ask those and they can do that for you.
Yeah. And some of it, going to Linda's point, and thank you, Linda, for pointing this out in the chat, Some of it might require you educating the people who are there to help you. It's part of your lifestyle, whether you like it or not. Sometimes you have to educate the helper. So Linda, thank you for bringing that up. I think that's a really good, important point to make. So going back to my example, for example, of observing the helper in the airport who was talking loudly to the person who did not have a hearing issue, might take a little bit of education and some patience and kindness on your part, even though it might hurt a little bit, or your family member or an advocate like us to educate them. But even Kim, at the venue, the hotel, it's okay, and you should not feel bad, I think you're saying, about asking for a picture of the actual room that you are going to be in. If they're going to put a shower seat in there or some other kind of accommodation, ask them to send you a picture so that you know that it actually is what you're asking about, as opposed to something that some young person at the hotel just Googled real fast, right?
I will say, when you go into those, I'm just staying here for the night, cheap hotels and motels like in Pigeon Forge where I went, we found out, oh yeah, we're accessible. No, they're not. They put a little tiny stool that's very wobbly inside their little narrow bathtub and call that handicap accessible. And you can't even reach the shower head or anything else. You need to have everything accessible within that area. And sometimes people will actually take their own fold-up chair or something with them, and you can do that on the plane. I'm not sure if they'll store it with, in their little storage area or put it under the plane, but I have heard people that will take their own when they travel, even if they're going on the road somewhere, because if they're staying at a cheaper motel, I can guarantee you it's not going to be as accessible as you like unless it's a really good hotel that is away.
Yes, yeah. So double your due diligence if you're going to the no-tell motel, right? Don't go to the no-tell motel for one. That's an OFW kind of conversation to have. But if you're gonna go to something that's a little bit questionable, double your due diligence on that. I love that, Kim. All right, so I want to pivot a little bit and talk more about where you were taking us, which is the stuff, the tools, the tricks, the things that make traveling more accessible and better for you. And folks on Zoom, please help us out here in the chat and put in there something that you like to take, an item, if whether it's related to limb loss and limb difference or not, just something that makes traveling easier for you. And Kim, you mentioned the dry sleeve, and I'm wondering if you could tell us more about that, because what has surprised me every time that we've talked about this is a lot of people don't know what it is or how it works. So could you tell us a little bit more?
I learned about it 15 years ago when I first lost my leg, and I had just finished physical therapy, but my prosthetist and my PT guy found out about this because it was fairly new at the time. And I've gone through 3 now in 15 years. I still have one in there that I take with me wherever I go. It looks like a silicone or a rubbery long sleeve. It's got a rough surface on the bottom, so you're not going to slip and fall, because what you're doing is it's like a giant long sock in a way. You're just going to slip that over the foot and the prosthetic leg and put it up as high as you can. And then it's just like on a beach ball. You open it up and you stick that out, and it's got a little squeeze ball that you put on there. And then you keep squeezing, and it'll continue to get all the air out of it. It takes a few minutes, but you get all the air out of it. Then you close that up like you do on a beach ball so the air won't escape. Put your ball where you won't lose it. And then you can swim, you can shower, you can go to the beach, you can do all kinds of things with it. I have anyway. It'll also allow you to have both legs. It'll also allow you to be able to get in the pool without having to take your leg off and figure out how you're going to get in and out of the pool. But I will have to look up the name of the other company that also started making these recently. But I do know that Dry Pro has sold their company last year, and they're working on bringing it back. I would like to see some changes in it, but because it does look like obvious. It's either beige or it's like this dark navy blue thing, and you're like, everybody looks at you when you're wearing it. But
I was just going to ask you that. You got a giant navy blue leg.
Yeah, I always wanted the beige one, but I have a blue one now because it's the only thing that was left when we bought it before the company decided to sell. But Yeah, and you can try to use a cast cover. I can't guarantee that'll work
Okay.
because I have had them leak on me before in the shower, and then I still get everything wet.
Yeah.
Don't use them in the hot tub because it breaks the seal with that constant flow of water going like this, real rapid. You don't want to wear them in the hot tub because you just take your leg off and flip over, and you're in the hot tub. But I go to therapy, pool therapy with that on, so I can use that prosthetic leg as a weight to do my hip exercises and my leg exercises. So that's another reason to have something like that and invest in it.
Yeah,
Now,
really great points. And I think I like the point about investing in, and this is a way for folks who can't afford a water leg, who can still enjoy water-based activities without having that fear that I'm going to destroy my equipment, or maybe I have to take it off, and maybe I'm self-conscious about that, or I'm not confident in my core strength to go about, being on the beach or at a pool without a prosthetic leg on. So
it goes up pretty high, but I will say if you are hip dysartic, it won't work for you. But if you still have some of your upper thigh, a little bit of your upper thigh, you'll be fine wearing one of those because it goes all the way up to your groin area. But but it is nice. I'm spoiled. I don't want to try to have to hop around on one leg anymore because I ruined the knee on the good leg. So.
Yeah, and we will include the link to kind of where you can find this, since the the other company has closed, when we send out a recording on Friday. Okay, and we'll include it with YouTube.
If you have an eBay account, you can go to eBay, because I've had people do this. Go to eBay and find a brand new one still in the box for $20. But make sure you make your measurements. Look it up, find out what the measurements are needed so that you get the right size for you.
Great points, Kim. And I see, Tina, thank you for sharing that too. A carry-on with 360-degree turn wheels, much easier to kind of navigate around. Now, y'all, don't make us put our boss voices on and call on you, okay? So as I'm talking to Kim, I want to see more comments in the chat for things that you like. Or Tina is a former educator. I'll make her call on everybody like we're in school again, okay? For some more things that you like to use when you travel, even if it's just snacks, so you're not hangry, okay? You put a Snickers bar in there and that works for you. That's great too. Kim, I'm wondering if we could pivot just a little bit and talk about, because this is another common thing that people don't know, is the rules and expectations regarding medication and how you take it through the airport. Could you give us the 101 on that, please?
Okay. I know the rules are getting stricter and stricter about medications, even in the U.S., and there's some medications that if you're going abroad, they don't allow in their countries, and they will confiscate those, and you won't be allowed to take them. So you do need to do your homework. You can go to the TSA website. There's a list on their website that tells you what you can and cannot take. I do know that everybody likes to buy those little Monday through Friday, put your medicine in kind of things, which for the most part, there's not a problem with that. But if it's liquid, you have to take it out and show them that you have a liquid medication. They'll usually let you take it through, but it has to be in the original bottle. It has to have the label on it. If you're nervous about whether they're going to deny you or not, you can go to the pharmacy, ask for the smaller bottles and to print out new labels to put on those. That way you take the smaller bottles with just a few pills and the actual prescription on the bottle. You can do that too if you feel more comfortable that way. They also have those packets, blank packets, where you can, how when you push the pill, like your allergy pill, through the little metal plastic thing on the back. Well, you can get those free at your local pharmacist if they have them, and then have them print out a prescription label that you can just add on there. And that way you can put those individually in there, and you don't have to take the whole bottle or whatever. I would say don't put it in your carry-on, put it in your personal bag, because if something happens and they say, we're going to check your bag, and it's now going under the plane, but you've got stuff in there you need to take while you're on the plane, you're going to be stuck without it. So whatever you need with you on the plane must go in a personal bag, not the carry-on or this whatever.
Great point. Great point on that. Now, on the topic of bags, another thing that we have found that some of our clients don't know about, many of them, is that you can take a medical bag in addition to your personal item and your carry-on. Now, we're sticking on the topic of airports right now, everybody. So, Kim, tell us, what is a medical bag and what are the rules around medical bags at airports?
Medical bags are just for medical devices or anything else. Like, say you have a nebulizer, or like I have an extra prosthetic I'm bringing with me. I can put that in a bag. It will not be counted. I will not get charged for it or anything like that. You cannot put anything else in there. It just has to be whatever you consider your DME, your medical equipment, or your, like, I'm diabetic, so I have a small bag with all my diabetic supplies in it. And I show that to them, you know, so that they know that they don't have to, you know, they don't have to charge me for that extra bag or whatever. You can do that. A lot of amputees, especially if they travel a lot and they're going to be needing more than 1 foot or one leg, they may want to carry an extra one for running or walking or swimming.
Great point. Great point. And, you know, we here at Amputee Aid, we can make available to you, if you're interested, you can buy little tags. They're like luggage tags, but they say medical bag right on them. That you can identify it that way, put your name and all your information on it, just so it's clearly identified, and you're less likely to get someone in line, or hopefully not, but maybe even a TSA agent harassing you as to why you're bringing, quote, so many things through or whatever. So
I made a mistake. I didn't know that at the time when I first was traveling that I could have a separate bag to put my prosthetics in.
Right.
So I put my pen lock liner in my carry-on bag. Well, it got flagged because of the screw.
Right.
And I look over and see the 6'4" guy pulling it out and holding it way up like this, going, turning around and going, "What's this?" And I go, "Well, it's a prosthetic liner." You know, I didn't know. I was so embarrassed. I was like,
yes.
Are you even allowed to do that? You should have called me over and asked me nicely. And, you know.
Right.
I was like, he may not know about etiquette yet. So
no, and going back to Linda's point, sometimes you need to educate the people trying to help you, because that, and some people will shame you or look sideways at you. And also, it's your personal item, no matter what it is, to have it kind of like hanging out there for people to see. You know,
I could have said something much more rude, because I'm losing my filter as I age. But
great points. And then and thank you, April, for joining us. The storms have passed. April's down in like Tornado Alley. So thank you for coming in and joining our travel discussion today. Lori, bubble packs. That's what those pill pieces are, packs are called, bubble packs. So yes, plan ahead. Make sure you give your pharmacist ample time. But bubble packs are clearly identified. They'll have the little prescription at the top on a label. Then you don't have any questions about whether you are trafficking drugs, because again, Amputee Aid does not have bail money for you, or those are prescriptions for you. Now, so thank you for sharing that. And I saw another comment in here about getting an aisle seat. If you're an airport person, if you're on a train, getting those aisle seats so that you can kind of stretch and you don't have to inconvenience other people, also a very thoughtful thing to do. Kim, the last time we talked with you, this is not amputee related, but I really loved this. You shared with us that you have a neck pillow that also doubles as extra storage. Can you tell everybody about that? I think it's super cool.
Yeah, it looks like an empty cover for an actual neck pillow. Like, here's my home neck pillow, but it was like a cover. You know how you can take neck pillows on the plane? Well, this one was stuffable. You can stuff it with extra clothes. I stuff it with my yarn and crochet hook, but you know, when I'm on the plane. But yeah, you can add stuff in there, and they don't count that either they don't charge you for taking a neck pillow with you. So, you know, and a lot of people have caught on to that in the last couple of years. And I just learned about it by watching somebody else talk about it. And I was like, oh, I went on Temu and got one. So.
Yeah. And I'm just kind of envisioning, if you are, particularly for our lower extremity friends who are more likely to use socks with their socket, you can put your extra socks in there, your antiseptic spray, put it all in there as an extra thing. Just put that pillow on and walk through the security line with it. Great point. And I see some people have different opinions on aisle seat or window seat. Some people prefer the window seat, so maybe you're not getting bumped, you know, and you can take your prosthetic leg off without worrying about it falling into the aisle. So great counterpoint.
I just recently learned that if it's a 2-seater it's okay. It doesn't matter if you're aisle or window, but if it's a 3-seater and somebody's going to be stuck in the middle, you basically have to decide, do I want the aisle one or the window one? Because the last time I sat like that with the 3 of us in a row, I'm up against the windows in front at the next person over, and I'm right here and I'm shoved up against there, so uncomfortable because the person in the middle was a little bit bigger person and I wasn't necessarily a small person to say, and it was a 2.5-hour flight and I couldn't wait to get off and stretch like crazy because I felt like this.
You're like a little sardine. Yep. And you had mentioned these shower stands or shower stools. Linda put right in there. Thank you for sharing that, Linda, in the comments. You can buy from Amazon a stool that you can assemble and deassemble and put it right in your medical bag. And Kim, you had alluded to that earlier. Love that idea. I love that idea. In April, I always go with 2 suitcases for sure. What boggles my mind is the number of folks with limb loss or limb difference who actually pay to check their medical bag with their prosthetic supplies and their prosthetic leg in it. Do not do that, okay? Do not do that. Advocate for yourself. Now, Kim, on this topic of advocacy, I'd like to go to that next. In part because our theme is Limb Loss, Limb Difference Awareness Month, celebrating the community and advocating for the community. What are your suggestions? Because again, Amputee Aid does not have bail money. Okay, so no fighting anybody. What are your suggestions for how the person with limb loss or limb difference or their companion, maybe it's an ally like me when I was traveling with my grandmother, or a spouse, significant other, whatever, family member, child, how do you suggest they handle situations where there's a violation of the ADA? Maybe it's the airport, the hotel.
There will always be someone who's in charge of that, a manager of some sort. Say, I need to talk to the highest person I can talk to that handles these type of situations, whether it be you or the person with you that can speak for you. And because most of the time the regular employees are going to go, I don't know. You're going to get that a lot, no matter where you go, and you need to find out, is there someone in charge of the accessibility? Because airports are supposed to legally provide you whatever you need. And I know they say within reason, but really that's not in the words. I looked it up the other day. It is that they have to provide what you asked for, as far as I need a wheelchair to get me from point A to point B, all the way to the entrance of the airplane. And then they should have one of those narrow wheelchairs they can transfer you to, and then take you down the aisle to wherever your seat is, and then, that kind of thing. So, and if they deny you of that, that's something that you can fight them on, and you go into hotels or anywhere, you need to up front when you get there say, am I going to, if I have any issues, who do I go to get it fixed? Yeah. Who can I get to lower the bed for me because I'm in a wheelchair permanently, or who can I get to put the proper shower chair? That's another thing, is if you just say I need a shower chair and don't explain to them what kind of shower chair you need. Like, I need a bigger one because I can't sit on those little bitty ones with the wobbly legs. I feel like I fell off of one of those once. It literally, as soon as I sat on it, the legs went this way because it was not stable. I said, this is more for a kid, And luckily, my friend was with me to help me back up. But, you've got to advocate, ask, and say in the most polite but direct way, say, this is what I need. This is what I'm asking for. If you cannot provide it, then I need to talk to someone who I can talk to about getting what I need. Never stop at just the first person. You have to be able to go up higher if that's what it takes to get what you need.
Yeah. I like what you said. You be polite, but direct, right? Yeah. You don't have to be flowery and sweet and kind, but don't come guns blazing, super angry, because that you're not going to get people to listen to you if you are yelling in their face. That's true about life, folks. That is just the way life is. I'm reminded, Kim, of this video that we saw recently on TikTok of a gentleman who was a below knee amputee, and he was standing in the line for TSA for folks living with disabilities. And a very, very young looking TSA agent said, why are you here? You're not disabled. Because the guy looked he was healthy, fit, standing, right, mobile, but wearing his prosthetic leg. And the kid was like scrolling on his phone trying to find whether someone with limb loss was, quote, disabled. And the guy was very like kind to him and said, take your time, and I'm not moving, and yes I am, and citing the ADA. But I think there are so many people who would take that in an opposite direction, and would fight and then cause a scene.
And that's where people, the non-disabled people, will have the attitude, well, just because you're just one disabled person doesn't mean I need to cater to you with that attitude or whatever. They'll instantly kind of react instead of, oh, I'm sorry, I want to help you. But there's a lot of new employees that don't know. And I'm like, I want to advocate for more people in the hospitality industry to be trained on how to deal with different types of disabilities, whether it's mental or whatever.
Yes, and be willing to educate. This is another reason we want to plan ahead for things, just like you're going to take your test day trip before your 3-day road trip. You're going to call ahead and ask, when you're asking about the rooms and accommodations, who do I talk to if there's an issue? And you say it just like that. And if you're the person who's not maybe comfortable having those conversations, maybe culturally or personally, you're not confrontational, that's okay. We got Emily. Okay, Emily's our social worker at Amputee Aid. Will help you. We figured out all that out. And she's a planner, a major planner. We got a whole bunch of things planned for this month and for the marathon here in Pittsburgh, which we'll share in a couple of webinars from now. We, as advocates, that is part of our responsibility too, and we can help you with that. Whether it's our agency or any other agency, there's a lot of wonderful organizations that can work with you. I like
in the future, if you want me to come and talk about tourism and how to deal with that aspect of it, once you get to your destination, I can do that too. Because as a accessible travel writer, I have some experience and some knowledge on how to approach people in that realm too. Because some places
about that
not be accessible at all, especially old buildings.
Right. Right. Keep that in mind. There are some certain places that will be, quote, grandfathered in based on the passage of law.
Right.
And to all of our lovely friends in Canada, you already know this. ADA is a United States thing. Okay. Do not go to Italy and start quoting the ADA. Okay. Because it is not there. All right. They might have something different, but you're going to really want to do some extra homework, as Kim pointed out, when you're traveling internationally. I like some of the comments that we're seeing here, Emily. Be aware of the hotel, and most of them will have some of them will have ADA compliant rooms, but if they don't, ask for an accommodation so they can turn it into an ADA room. When you're traveling, make sure you have extra supplies, alcohol wipes, those kinds of things, so that you can take care of what your immediate needs are. Don't pack those away or in a checked bag, because you might need them sooner. Kim, you mentioned that too. Kim, in the time that we have left, wow, this went really fast. All right, I'm going to plant the seed for some questions for all of you, and then Kim, I'd love to kind of wrap up on a question with you. For all of you joining us live, if you have a tip or trick that you would like to share with our viewers who watch our recordings, or the rest of us live, please let us know. We'd like to hear from you, or any questions that you have for Kim about her article. And Kim, while we're waiting for some comments to come through, I'm wondering if you could share, since your article came out recently and was published during Limb Loss and Limb Difference Awareness Month, what are your thoughts on how travel is connected to advocacy, to awareness, to celebrating the community? Kind of, how do those things tie in together?
They very much tie in together, because I always explain to the managers and the staff, this is about inclusion, not just making an exception for one person. If you want more visitors, you're leaving out the biggest group of people that have money too, that want to enjoy this venue or this park or this, area. And I say it in the nicest way with a smile or whatever. And a lot of them have invited me to walk around and show them opinions like the restroom or the hotel room or the entrances, or, how can they improve? And that was what I was doing as an accessible travel writer for the state of Indiana, and working with East Tourism was, here's how you as a community can include those who feel left out. They want to enjoy life too. And sometimes they just can't, because there's the place they want to go is not accessible in any way, shape, or form for them. And there's no way to get them there or get them from point A to point B, and we need to advocate as caregivers, as family and friends. We need to start being aware ourselves of, oh, well, I can't bring Joe because look there, he's wanting to come sometime, but I'm going to have to tell him that this isn't going to be accessible for him in a wheelchair or whatever. Don't stop there. Go to the staff and say, hey, I have a family member who's, disabled, in a wheelchair, whatever, and I would like to bring them, but there's no accessibility. Is there an elevator in the building? Is there somewhere else? Well, at the time in the old buildings, you're going to be told to go clear around the back of the building where the service elevator is, and that's probably a 50-year-old elevator that you do not want to get stuck on, because that has happened, and that's scary. Or it's just one long stairwell all the way up to the second floor that I'm like, I know that has to be about 25 to 30 steps right there, and I don't do stairs anymore.
Yeah.
So we need everyone, and I don't know if you've seen the YouTube commercials that people are putting out, like, what would it be like for a non-disabled person to live in a world where it's only for disabled people?
Yes.
Those things. And so, yeah, just be aware. Awareness needs to happen for everyone. And I would love to see the ADA be updated and modernized for today.
Yes, yes. And Kim, I want to draw on this point, and thank you for those of you putting comments in our chat, just a couple of them. It's important to remember TSA is there to protect our safety. So yes, pack your patients they're doing their job for safety, but be aware if for airport accommodations, for example, they must do certain things like getting you from point A to point B. So advocate for that and ask for it. It's there as a service. But Kim, something we haven't talked about a lot, but I'm drawing it out of your commentary is, for all of us going with you on the trip and us able-bodied folks, be mindful of the places that you are taking your folks who have limb loss or limb difference, because a burden is on us too to make those experiences kind and pleasant and enjoyable for the folks who are on the trip, right? And I haven't yet seen the YouTube commercials, but you better be sure we're going to look for them about what it would be like to live in a world that's only set up for folks with disabilities.
And I also say, for those that are going with someone who's disabled, please do not go, oh, you climbed that ramp so well, or whatever, because really they're wanting to cry, but they're not going to cry in front of you about how much pain they're in walking in a prosthetic that doesn't fit right or whatever. And everybody's like, all right, you can do it. And they're cheering you on to do the impossible. And they're not doing it themselves because they're not disabled. And it's like, no, I need your help. I need you to understand and not act like that. Oh, you can do it. You can work through the pain. You can do that. I've had people do that in my life, and then they get offended when I tell them, please don't do that, because I need you to just walk beside me and make sure I don't fall, or make sure I get up this hill, or if I can't get all the way up, will you please walk with me back down, or whatever it takes, because sometimes they think they're doing you a favor by cheering you on, but it almost, when you're in the middle of something that triggers you emotionally and mentally, the last thing you want to hear is either a criticism or you can do it, and keep cheering you on like it's not that hard. Yes, it is.
Yeah. Yes.
It is. Yes.
Don't give lip service, or also treat them like a child. Go back to my point about the worker at the airport. I observed kind of treating someone with a disability as if they're also uneducated.
Right.
But I'll get off my advocacy soapbox for a moment here, because Kim, in the time that we have left, you're taking a trip actually later this month. Tell us where you're going.
I have won a scholarship for the second year in a row to attend Foundations. It's in Denver, Colorado. And I went last year and I loved it, applied for another scholarship, but it's like almost like the Amputee Coalition, only for one day. You're going to have speakers. You're going to have a lot of companies that are providing different things like wound care or prosthetics or new devices that are in another room set up, so you got all day to do that. You can talk to, they got all kinds of awareness classes and things, or things that pertain to you. They usually have a main speaker, and I'm going out there and I'm going to have fun. I have not been to Boulder, but there's 4 of us gals that are going that know each other from online that we're going to meet up with when we're there, and we've all got scholarships for this. And they do give an annual scholarship, so if you go to the Limb Preservation Foundation next spring, you can apply for the scholarship and probably get to go. And it's just very educational, very knowledgeable, but you meet so many wonderful people everywhere. And that's where I made a lot of new connections, and I've still got those connections. And I learned a lot to bring back home to tell my prosthetist about things he may or may not be aware of. Wound care is one thing that I never hear a lot talked about, but there are new things that are coming up the pipeline to help heal wounds faster, because that's an issue with amputees, But I'm excited to go, and if I get there a day early, we're all going to go into Boulder for the day. And
fun! That's amazing. So we want a detailed report next time, right after the thing, and we'll be watching your social media for all your pictures.
I know. I'm definitely doing that for Amplitude. I'll be writing an article for them about that experience and also sharing it with as many people. I'll post pictures on my own blog. I have Out on a Limb at WordPress. So you can go there, and I will probably post pictures and video or whatever I can do, or blog about, hey, this is what I learned today and who I met today. And, you can get scholarships for a lot of things. You just have to ask.
Yes.
You just can't advertise it. You have to ask.
Yes. And we try not to plug Amputee Aid too hard, but just know that one of the support pieces that we provide here at our agency is help with the travel for conferences like this. We can't send you on a mental health vacation to Hawaii, although I wish we could. We can give you our green screen, but we support conferences like this that are related to your life with limb loss or limb difference. Kim, and if you're not following Out on a Limb, the blog, please go follow it now. And you can also read many wonderful articles from Kim on Amplitude Magazine, and we're looking forward to the next one. Kim, round of applause for you. Thank you very much for filling in today and talking to us all about travel advocacy and why it matters for Limb Loss, Limb Difference Awareness Month. As we're getting ready for the drawings, I saw a comment from April about advocating in your small town. April, come back April 29th. So not next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after that. We are talking with Access Mob about how to advocate in your small town or your big town and the skills to do it and all the things. And we're going to have Alicia here from Access Mob. She's going to teach us the skills of advocacy and the government. Next Wednesday, everyone, Experts Roundtable for Limb Loss, Limb Difference Awareness Month. This is one you do not want to miss. Please tell all of your friends, because we want to have a big crowd for our 3 big experts from Prosthetics Plus, from Amputee Walking School, and from Slingshot Bionics. Okay, so we're going to be talking lots and lots of things. They'll be open for questions and answers from the group. We want to impress them by having a lot of people here. You will see the flyer coming out tomorrow and all weekend. Please share that far and wide and come back next Wednesday, 2 o'clock Eastern Time on Zoom and TikTok. But we promised if you came to our last minute show that we would do some giveaways. So we are going to, Lucho took all the names down of our folks on Zoom who are still here. Emily, are you going to draw the names and tell us who gets what?
I'll do one, you do one.
Okay, so you're going to do the first one, and we'll give away, what do you think? We'll do the pizza first.
Okay.
Chicago style, mail order pizza, whether or not you're in the Chicago area, you're going to get that. We got another gift certificate from
Lincoln Johnson.
Congratulations. I think you're a newer person to us. You're getting such a Chicago style pizza. You're not from Chicago, because otherwise you just go down the street, but it is mail order. You can do me a favor if you could, please put in the chat your email address, because it's a digital gift certificate and we're going to email it to you. And come back, because we do lots of giveaways, not every time, but most of the time. We're all kinds of things. Okay, so congratulations to you. And Linda, thank you for the comment. I appreciate that. And thank you for coming and sharing your story with us too. All right, so now I'm going to draw.
Yep, for the cool bag.
You show off the cooler. This is a real, legit expensive cooler, guys. And it's got some beach stuff on the inside too. So whether you're going to the beach or just in your backyard or on your porch or patio, front door, hanging out, pretending you're in the beach. Okay, I will not look, but I'm going to grab one here. Okay, I think I've got one. Okay. Drum roll. Well, Rob Chihuahua Carl's head for good luck. All right. The winner is. Oh, wait. Okay. Cammy! Congratulations, Cammy! Woo! Okay. You won, girl. All right. Cammy won that. All right. We've got all kinds of, you all know, if you're new here, one thing you don't know about me is I like getting free stuff. There's a whole webinar on it. Since I was a kid, I've been getting free stuff. We got a bunch in our gift closet. And we keep getting more. So keep coming back, okay? Because I love this. It makes me happy. So for no other reason than to fulfill my childhood love of giving away free stuff, please come and entertain me. But come back. We'll always do more giveaways. Next week, though. And Kim, thank you very much for having our travel conversation. Another round of applause for Kim. Come back next Wednesday, 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Same Zoom link, same code, same TikTok live. We will be here, Experts Roundtable for Limb Loss, Limb Difference Awareness Month. Prosthetics Plus, Slingshot Bionics, and Amputee Walking School with our Paralympian expert. All right, lots of people here to answer questions and talk about this movement and why it matters. For all of our new people, welcome, and we'd love to see you every Wednesday, 2 o'clock Eastern Time here on Zoom and TikTok. And for our old friends, our beautiful old friends, thank you for coming back. As always, take care. Have a beautiful rest of the week, a wonderful beginning of next week, and we'll see you next Wednesday, 2 o'clock Eastern Time for another session of Life Amplified, brought to you by Amputee Aid. Bye, everyone. Take care. Happy Live Long Live With